Alright. High expectations for green. But I wanna speed run green because reasons. Usually the green cards are not that complicated. There's some mill stuff there, so maybe I'll like green more than in other sets. I like self-mill. I'm a self-mill guy. I knock way farer. One colorless green 1/1. When this creature enters mill 3 cards, you may put a land card from among them into your hand. If you don't put a 1/1 counter on this creature. I'm dyslexic apparently. So either a 2/2 or get a land and a 1/1. I like these cards. These are good. It's a 2 for 1. And it mills your renew and harmonize cards. Yeah, Brawler from Khans of Tarkir, not Khans of Tarkir, Brothers War, which was a really good card. There's even more. No, I guess there was a lot of reasons to self-mill in Brothers War. A lot of reasons. That was unearthed. Here is a lot of reasons as well. Harmonize and renew. Is there any green guild that doesn't wanna self-mill? Not really, right? Because Sultai and Timur, and that's it. C plus maybe? C plus. I'll go C plus. This will be important. Unless there's a better 2-drop at common. It doesn't block that well though. Early. So that's somewhat of an L, but we haven't seen that many extremely high statted 2-drops. And it even blocks some because there are 3/1s. 2 colorless green, 3/3 trample. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. It's only a 3 mana 3/3. I don't like this that much. Yeah, it grows, but when does it grow? I'll give this a C minus because it's still a 3 mana 3/3 trample, even though on a 3/3 the trample doesn't matter that much. There's some combos with it. There's the blue card that exile cards on upkeep. So that would grow it each turn. It does grow easily, yeah, but it doesn't grow early. Like there's almost no way to grow it early. Like you need to mill, then play this on 3 and then already have a harmonized card. And your turn has to be good for casting a harmonized cards because a lot of harmonized cards are just card advantage, which means you would still rather add to the board. Read the cards, explain the card. Yeah. I'm bad at reading. That's why I'm doing it. I have to do a review, then I have to make some punts on an early access. And then I know the cards. Then I'm Gucci. By the time set drops, I'm kinda Gucci. Unless there's a rare that I refuse to read still. Okay, 3 colorless, green for a 4/5 flying dragon. Whenever this creature or another dragon you control enters, you gain 3 life. Track Tusk type of feeling. For 3 mana, search library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal them, put one of them into the battlefield tapped, and the other into your hand, then shuffle for 3 mana. Yeah, good, because this part is just great. 5 mana, 4/5, gain 3 life. You kind of don't want to omen it, but you will still omen it sometimes. It doesn't really mana fix in limited. Did we get duels? We didn't get the duels with basic land types, have we? Question mark for the chat. Still B plus because 5 mana 4/5 flyer gaining 3 life is a really good card. I don't think it's anything completely busted or like it is backbreaking if you cannot deal with it because it's a big flyer, right? But it still dies to it's still a 1/1 versus removal. Just good trade for its mana cost. Playing it for the dragon part most of the times. Unless your mana stuck or something. Omen is not adventure. Omen gets shuffled. You choose one side. So you either choose a creature side or Omen side. If you choose the Omen side, the card gets shuffled into your library. So it's not like a 2-for-1 type of effect. 2 colorless green for a 4/2 trampler, renew for colorless and a green, exile this card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter and a trample counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So it only goes on a single creature. Both counters go on a single creature. Is this one, do we like this? I think I like this one more than I like the hunter. And one is an uncommon, the other one is a common. If it trades its value, the other one you have to work and can still work for it to get bigger and it still trades. So Dushan is better. Dushan is a Slovene name, by the way. I think this is good for Harmonize and it's good value. So I like this card. Better than the red card, surprise, surprise. C plus for a common. Seems good. That's a reprint. 5 green. 5/5 haste. When this creature enters, creatures you control gain trample and get X+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Crater Hoof Behemoth. The Hoof. 8 mana is a lot, but it often wins in limited for 8. In constructed, you want to cheat this into play or have a weird elf deck with. How do you raid this for limited? Because 8 mana is a downside on its own. But when it cooks, it cooks. Yeah, sometimes you won't have creature by the time you have 8 mana. So that's the floor. That's the real floor of the card. Triple green and triple green by turn 8 is not that big of a deal though. Or by the time you have 8 mana. I was thinking B, but if you guys insist, like we can go B minus. Because I'm not too fond of a Crater Hoof Behemoth or any 8 mana card in limited. You would be surprised how many times this wasn't it in the last set it was around. But even dorks are weird with it because dorks only buff. They don't attack, right? Because you have to tap a dork down. So it's actually better with... It's weird. It's the best when you cheat it into play. And have like some sort of a go white strategy, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. C plus B minus then. Dragon Sniper. 1 green, 1/1 Vigi, reach, death touch. That's like a buffed rat. Although still just a 1 mana, 1/1 death toucher. It does block everything. That's an annoying card, yeah. I think there's some weird factor in this set that 1-drops are not that good. Because you're gonna have a tap land most often on 1. When you don't play it on 1, then at one point it will be a little bit awkward on the curve, maybe. Although this one is relevant late. I would still say a B minus for this. So a really good card. Yeah, the floor is a 1/1, but there's not really a ceiling. The floor is the ceiling for this card. Does that make sense? I don't think it has really different applications. Other than, okay, fight spells. No, but the card is good. I just don't want to go to ballista on it. We're talking now like it's a bomb or something. Colorless green artifact. Tap and untap untapped creature you control at 1 mana of any color. So 3 and Wooburg. Sacrifice this artifact. Create a 4/4 creature dragon token named Reliquary Dragon. That's all colors. It has flying, lifelink, and when this token enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. Activate a sorcery. I don't think this is even bad. I like it with this card because then you have something to tap down. You're gonna have spirits to tap down. Springleaf Drum was actually quite a terrible limited card, but we have probably passed that age where it would be a little bit different in a modern era. This does eventually turn into some sort of value. Because I'm assuming you're playing this with intention to activate it at one point. You build around it. This is like your 5 color. You probably want to be like multicolor, but have access to the mana for this ability. You don't even need to play cards in every color. But this ability can be your payoff. And then you just have accidental lands that enable it. The ability is also somewhat 1 mana cheaper. It's 7 mana ability because this adds mana. If that holds any value. I would say build around C plus actually. Usually I'm gonna build those decks, but I'm gonna build them once because I don't find 5 color strategies any fun because they're just good stuff decks and good stuff is boring. No, this is great. The ability is great. You just need to get there. So yeah. 5 colorless green 4/4 Reacher. When this creature enters, it endures 3. So we got our Ketradon. So pick your death touch tricks high. A little bit worse than Ketradon. But it can make 2 bodies. So it's not really that much worse than a Ketradon. Because it has more flexibility. It still gets you a big creature. However you put it. Not really. This is one of the cards where a 7/7 is actually gonna happen quite often. Because whenever you're gonna need to match a big creature, you're gonna make a 7/7. There's just no other option. And it's late enough that it just depends how the game progresses. You're gonna know the option. It's a good card. I don't maybe like that it exists because it has... We're getting then another Ketradon type of format maybe. Which is weird. Then back-to-back 6 mana commons being kinda good. I'll go C+. Good reason to ramp into this. 3 colorless green. When this enchantment enters, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tab, then shuffle. When a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. So I don't think you care too much again about the second time it resolves. Comes down, do you need a 4-mana ramp like that? Because that sort of ramp was playable before. I would say on a vacuum level it's Garbo, but now we're talking a 3-color set. Maybe you play a specific deck where you want to play 5 colors with this sort of effects. It's a bad rate for what it does in a way. Niche, D-card. I would assume sometimes you will just want it. Maybe you didn't get enough fixing. You'll just pick it just so you make your deck playable also. 1 colorless green, 2/1. Creatures with power less than this creature's power can block it. As long as you control a creature with a counter on it, this creature gets +1/+2. Okay, so you cannot block it with 1/1 spirits. Fine. With counter on it, then it's a 3/3. I don't hate it. I mean, let's be real. The 2-drops are not statted that well overall in this set. At least the single colored one. So that probably matches with other 2-drops. It feels like a 2-mana 2/2 is not completely terrible. So when we go back, it does count itself through. So if you pump it, yeah. Or if you put a counter on it. And you have a lot of renew stuff. I think this is okay. I'd go C. The ceiling is still a 3/3 with some extra ability, but you have to work for a 3/3. And we have seen 2-mana 3/3s at uncommon before. Colorless green. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. Until end of turn, target creature you control with power 4 or greater gains trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I like that. It's a 2-mana mana ramp. That doesn't happen in limited that often. So creature heavy decks will love that. I'm pretty high on this. Then the application where it draws cards. I would say B+. You still need then other creatures with it, so it's not a single card that does boomy things, but drop this on 2, play a 4-drop, start drawing. So a really solid B+. Colorless green, choose 1, destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, draw a card. I don't even hate that, because there's a lot of good enchantments, and there's a lot of harmonize and renew, so it's really bad versus Mardu. There's not many artifacts. There are some though. Sideboard card, but it's also main deckable. But yeah, first one you could play main deck, I would say. One is impossible to rate in best of 1. I would just name it a sideboard card. Well, 2-mana cycling, you didn't include random 2-mana cyclers in either drift, and either drift was a slow format in random decks, so I think that answers it. Sideboard rating for me. First ever sideboard rating. We don't see that many sideboard only cards. But with the play boosters, they actually remove some slots, so they're not printing as many sideboard only cards anymore. 4 colorless green, 3/2. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, endure 2. So you get 5 power no matter how you put it. Or 5. It's a threat. It's a real threat. It's expensive, but it's a real threat. Like a Goblin Rebel Master type of card, but expensive. No, this is good. And this is a good reason to ramp, because then you're steamrolling faster. B+. Solid. Compare it to Pima Outrider. But this is triggering on attack, so that's the real appeal. 2 colorless green. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature, then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. Sorcery speed. Kinda weak. This is just 1 mana cheaper and doesn't fight, but it has a bite effect. Counter smattering. Best green removal so far. We haven't even seen a single green removal, so this is the only green removal. It is an uncommon. There was the same spells in Foundations. Oh yeah, true, and that one was pretty good. Card is solid. I would say B-B. It's not unconditional though, so... But it does keep value behind or grows a creature. 2 colorless green, 4/4 defender. 2 colorless and a green, this creature can't attack this turn. I thought it didn't have defender. Yeah, sure. You can enable Harmonize for relatively... It's a big power for Harmonize, that's what I want to say, for relatively cheap. Ulti card. It's just a card. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it. Not that it would be complicated. It's not that bad. Like, this card is definitely not bad. But also nothing special. It's just sometimes alright to play a 3-mana 4/4 to not fall behind. Your deck is grindy. Fine. Pretty solid at doing that. Playable in Greedy Piles. Yeah, Greedy Piles should definitely play that. I'm going D. I just don't think it's anything special. You can do better. You can do better. It's also not that interesting of a design. 2 colorless, green, 5/5. When this creature enters, you may mill cards equal to the number of lands you control. Renew, colorless, green. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature where X is the number of land cards in your graveyard. Activate only as sorcery. It's a 4-mana 5/5, so can be bad. Cannot be bad with value because exile from yard. B+ territory. If it gets exiled, it's a 1/1. But a really solid rare. A really solid rare. It enables Harmonize, Renew. It enables itself even. It does mill a lot, which I think it's really good. I know people will view this as a downside, but I think that's a really huge upside in a set like this where you have Renew and Harmonize. You will also have to, or maybe recognize to hold lands if you have this in the deck, which adds a little bit of a skill to green, which is not that common of a thing. Green doesn't get skill intensive cards. X green sorcery. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less. Put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. Harmonize is X green. 4 green. It's a 2/1. But meh. That seems too expensive. Like, the Harmonize is not even guaranteed gonna happen in a game. If you play 3 colors. As good as your best card, but it's +2 mana, so... I don't think it's unplayable because it will get you something. So it does transfer into some sort of a card that matters. I'll go D-. I don't think you want this in 95% of limited decks. No, those decks don't want this card because they will already be behind on the board. So if you're gonna spend 2 mana, +2 mana to get your expensive card, you're definitely losing a game. You guys act like +2 mana is not a thing and +4 mana is not a thing. Colorless green has an additional cost to cast the spell. You may behold a dragon. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. If a dragon was beheld, surveil 2. It's just a fight. I mean, it's a bite spell with an upside. I'm taking that. 2 mana, on rate, instant is where I want these spells to be. Sorcery. Bites are kinda underwhelming for 2. Best green removal at common. Maybe the 3-drop is 3 mana. But it's not even like this is better than just 3 mana and sorcery versus 2 mana and instant. 3 colorless green, 2/4. When this creature enters, you may mill 3 cards. Tap at an amount of green equal to this creature's power. Okay. That's a good one. That's the one you want over this to actually ramp. I know this fixes, but this at least adds a body and mills and does all the sweet thingies for green. More ramp. No, but that's a good one. It's uncommon though, but yeah, this is a good one. I'll go C+. It doesn't fix. Sometimes you would rather have 1 mana and fixing. You have some really good applications, like the common 6-drop is pretty good to play next turn once you play this. You can ramp into your bad cards like Nature's Rhythm to make them good. 3 colorless green, return up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to the hand. Target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard into their library. Exile this. Sorcery. You play 1 off, right? Sometimes you'll play more. It works with all the cards leaving graveyard payoffs. No, but these cards are fine, and this gets you permanents back. So if you're in white, like Abzan, you can get Oblivion rings back if you mill them and stuff. I kind of like it as a one-off. I'll just go C for that because some decks will not need it. Sometimes you'll just be happy playing it. And you will. It's like card advantage with selection if you're milling enough. You can get lands back as well and stuff. So in this set, it's a little bit better than it would be in a set where you need your creatures to die first and then get stuff back. It is slow, but for reasons, right? It does good things for late game. You can shuffle their cards through. 2 colorless green, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Harmonize 4 colorless and a green. I don't like this. Because the harmonize part is so bad. It's okay that it's there. I really would want something else, like a token or... We gotten a token in Wilds of Eldraine. And don't care about harmonize. D minus, yeah. Some decks will just need it or will need to play it because they need a fixing. Building 2 colors deck with a splash. You're not building 3 colors deck. 3 color deck straight up. You're never doing that even if you go 5 colors in limited. You would almost always want to go 2 color base and then recognize which cards you're splashing. And you can go up to 5 colors, but you want to keep a core at 2 mana. And then these cards get like a little bit... Sometimes you want them if you don't have anything else, but you'd rather have something else. 2 colorless green, 2/2. When this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Renew 3 colorless green, exile this card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, then double the number of 1/1 counters on that creature. Wait, this is kinda sick for 3 mana at uncommon. Because I'm not completely unhappy even about the no renew part. But the thing is, this is pumping something, then it blocks or trades or whatever you do with it, and then it already kind of sets up for its renew. So it synergizes with itself. And then there's milling application where you get value. So at least a B, 3/3 for 3, but it's a 3/3 for 3 that generates, that leaves value behind. That's the floor. The ceiling is higher. 3 colorless green, 4 for reach, renew 4 colorless green, exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 1/1 counters and a reach counter on target creature. This is another banger. Having to deal with double reacher is such a pain. To be fair, there are not many cheap flyers though in this set, at least not at common, maybe at multicolor. This is better than Hazard if you ask me. B minus. It's just that 4 drop slot is contested. It seems like this is the one you want to play in green, yeah. Unless you get the uncommons and rares. Well, this is probably better than Hazard actually, which is insane, which is quite good for a common. It's always gonna be the thing. The green is always gonna have individually the best commons when we're rating cards in vacuum. So the way you overcome green is by synergy. So then it depends, right? If the synergy is good enough in a set, yeah, then you're not maybe dragged into green. If that's not the case, then green is kind of always good in those sets where the synergy is not that present. And funny is, green actually has a lot of synergy in this set because of renew and stuff, the self-mill mechanics and stuff. 4 color is green, 3/3 flying. When this creature enters, you gain 3 life. And for 1 mana, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. This is so good. Can we talk bushwhack? Can we talk bushwhack? And can we talk how people misplay bushwhack all the time? This you cut the land for and you profit. This is literally not a dual, a modal land. You have to have green, obviously. So you have to put enough sources of green in your deck. But you can cut a land, and I would say you can go down to 15 if you have 3 of those or 2 of those. Maybe sometimes you go for 3 or cut 2. For the first one, you can always cut a land. You need to be a little bit careful once you're cutting like below 15, then consider maybe 4 for 3, stuff like that. But you need to get like multiple of these, which is probably not going to be that easy. Yeah, probably you're aiming for 9 green, so you have green on 1 for sure, yeah. It's not that the right part would be that good, but it's kind of fine. Considering that it comes at a land slot, if you view it that way. Doesn't up the power of the deck, but it ups consistency. C+. First one gets way better, especially in a 3-color set. I do agree with that. You have to make sure you're green main, which I assume you will often be in either Temur or Sultai. Okay, colorless green. Choose one. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Destroy target creature with flying. Okay. In this set, this looks pretty good, honestly. You cash it in for a trick or you kill a dragon. The flexibility is real on this card. A random pump spell, which is a floor, but then we're talking a pretty high upside. First one gets pretty valuable, right? The second one, I'll go, I don't know. I would want to say C, but maybe it's a C+. I still think it's a C. Snakeskin Veil. 1/1 counter, it gains hexproof. We talked so many times why Snakeskin Veil is such a better protection spell than any other card like that. It's because it can act as a combo trick. Because the plus counter matters. So I'm really high on Snakeskin Veil, while I'm not high on anything that would be just 1 mana indestructible, like Defender Rider, for instance. That one you still, if they have a bigger creature, you still don't kill it. This one does both. It's not a good trick, but you're playing it for the protection part, which will most of the times be irrelevant, right? But then it can be a trick sometimes. Counter synergies as well. I like this a lot. And these get better and better. I think the more power we get, the more steamrolly cards we get. So B-, C+, C+, probably, yeah. They do get worse in multiples, because you can draw too many, then you don't draw threats. Colorless green, 2/1 death touch. So 1 colorless, add black, green, or blue, activate only once each turn. This one I like more than the others. This one trades for big. So green gets also the best one of these. It doesn't block the mobilize stuff well, but... So if we rated every other one like a C- or D+, I think this one has to be a C. So I'll still go by the C. I don't think you want to necessarily build to rely on this ability, but it's a neat upside. And they do get probably worse in multiples, because 2 mana, 2/1 death toucher is okay, but not great. I think we need to now go back to ground 1 of limited, or to level 1 of limited, to explain everything to get to the point. This ability is not why you're playing the card. This ability is a nice little upside. Would you play, because then you could make an argument, would you play a 2 mana artifact that has this ability on it, the fixing ability? Would you add this to your deck? Because that's the most consistent then to have the fixing, because it doesn't die to creature removal, right? But you would probably not do that. The answer would be no, right? And this is like kind of similar why like the white one feels to me the weakest, although I still don't think it's unplayable, because Cry matters, and in those colors, like a random body is better than just the stats suggest, because you want to go white to benefit from maybe some pumps or something. 2 colorless green. This spell can be counter trample whenever a creature you control or a creature spell you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls. Draw a card. 4/3. Human warrior. Does that matter? No. Warriors mattered in Cons of Tarkir. Maybe they matter here. Maybe there's a multicolor card. But I think we looked at most of the cards when they were getting spoiled, and I don't think I remember one that would pump warriors. There's no real downside to this card. It's a 2/1 4/3 trampler at the core. So this is kind of pushed. And then every other creature also, but you kind of want to kill this first. So I would say A-, maybe even A. But more realistically, A-, because this alone is not surpassing boards, but it's making your board great versus removal. Colorless green. Distribute 2 1/1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. Creatures you control with counters on it gain Vigi trample until end of turn. Harmonize 4 and green. At sorcery speed. This is 4 counters on a card distributed. And counter synergy mattering, right? Travel prep, yeah. Good example. You have to tap your board down though, so you cannot, your board, some of your creatures down, so maybe you don't get that good of an attack in as you did with Travel Prep, but Travel Prep was a busted card. It wasn't really good, honestly, it wasn't that good in Shadows when it came back as a reprint or as a special guest card. So it's interesting how Travel Prep would translate into modern Magic. That's like the first thing maybe we're talking about. Actually, it's pretty easy to play this for 3 mana. You play this for 3 mana. That's so realistic. +4/+4. Yeah, you have to you would still want to spread it out, so you need to be careful to not put too many counters on one creature. C+, because there's boards where you just won't have enough creatures to grow. 3 colorless green, 4/3. When this creature enters, draw a card if you control a creature with counter on it. If you don't draw a card this way, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So a 4 mana 5/4 or 4 mana 4/3 draw a card. Another 4 draw, by the way. So this is where it gets a little bit awkward. I like the spider more, or not the spider. What was that? I think this is a better common at 4 in almost most cases. I know the card is appealing, but reach is so much better on a 4 drop, and then this is almost worth a card. Just for that, I don't think we can rate it that high because it's gonna compete with the other 4 drop. I don't know. I think this is actually a C- because how contestant 4 drop slot is in green, and you already have a better card at common. Context, like yeah, in vacuum, maybe in vacuum it's a C. I'm going C- because there's better options at common in the same color. Not even talking uncommons. I disagree with that. Reach is hard to replicate. You cannot attack through reaching boards. The renewability is better than drawing a card. You know what you get? You get a reacher that you make something a must kill, otherwise their board is not attacking through. Colorless green 2/3. When this creature becomes tapped, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. 2 mana 2/3, okay. Already good. Especially because most of the 2 drops are statted pretty poorly. It removes the lands from the top, which is pretty good late game. And it gives you still lands when you need to hit lands. So probably on the play, the first attack happens, right? On the play, this is pretty sick either way. At least a B. And I think I want to keep it at a B. Colorless green 2/2 Vigi. Sacrifice this creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Fine. I don't like 2 mana 2/2s. I do like extra abilities. Feels like this did need to have the 1 with it. Then we had this in OTJ, right? These are the cards you're probably happy playing 1 of, but that's it. Vermin was what like a D card compared to other 2 drops, but OTJ had so many good 2 drops that had competition. Let's put it this way. I'm going D+ on this. 2 colorless green. At the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. For a 2/2. So if it survives a turn, pretty sick. It would be sick. Obviously, it would be crazy if it pumped other creatures. But yeah, it's a bomb. It's a must-kill bomb. So maybe like A-, B+, A-. I'm going A-. I'm not going higher because if it dies immediately, it doesn't grant any value. Most of the A-bombs have this quality where you play them. There's no way to avoid a 2-for-1. But it is a must remove card on 3. Late in the game, it might be slow. You're not drawing more creatures. That's another like kind of why it doesn't go into A+ or A territory for me. Because at the top deck, you still need another creatures. It just doesn't get you from really bad spots. While most of the A's and A+ do. But again, pretty insane card. That's why we're rating it an A-. All right, we're under 3 hours in, and we did 2 colors. That's good. And now there's a big chunk of golden cards. We can do artifacts. We can still do artifact and lands today, and then we only leave multicolor stuff for tomorrow. How about that? Oh, but that's not an artifact card. But you guys have been waiting for this one. Now I have to read a wall of text again. Ugin, Eye of the Storm. So 7 mana for 7 loyalty planeswalker. When you cast the spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile up to one target permanent that's one or more colors. +2, you gain 3 life, draw a card. 0, add 3 colorless mana, so 3 Eldrazi mana. -11, search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards, exile them, shuffle. Until end of your turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. You did log in for a bomb. This kills a permanent. Starts at 9 loyal. Well, it starts at 7, goes to 9. The second ability is almost irrelevant. The last ability is irrelevant, but yeah, good card. Yeah, but the fact that you just kill something is pretty crazy. I don't think it's better than Elspeth though. Like Elspeth steamrolls so fast, you need to get to 7. Sometimes you won't get to 7. So they own, like, okay, the real liability of the card is it's 7 mana. Otherwise, everything is great. There are some boards that won't care too much at that stage. I don't know. I mean, obviously great, but definitely not Elspeth quality. I would say you often it will make their attacks weird and it will stick around for 2 turns at least. There's the thing when you have a 7 mana card in hand and you want to stall, sometimes you're losing a lot because you have a 7 mana card. So that's a hidden fact, because if that card was cheaper in your hand, you have to set up for a 7 mana card, that's what I'm saying, and survive. If that card was cheaper, it would do something. So that's a hidden like downside of a 7 mana card, just being a 7 mana card. So because we're used to, when you play a 7 mana card, it adds to the board or it removes few things, right? This only removes one thing. So in that sense, I'm not that excited, but I do think it's a really good card. I do think this card is pretty busted. So I'll go like, I don't know, A- on this. Pretty high on it. I'm just explaining the downsides, because you can put this into a lot of decks. And especially when you're ramping, yeah, it gets way better. It's not impossible to have couple of colorless spells. Yeah, we will see colorless spells now. I could see some people missing this and saying, okay, it's the best card in the set. Which is close, I guess, but I would still rate it as I would still rate Elspeth high. I would still rate, I think we rated some other cards Ace already, so. Just because they're cheaper and probably result into winning the game anyhow on spot. These are in all 5 guilds. 2 colorless for Abzan Monument. So the monuments are Abzan, Jeskai, Sultai, Timur, Mardu. Enter, search your library for Plain, Swamp, Forest, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. Then for Abzan colors +1, sacrifice this artifact, create an XX White Spirit creature token where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. 6 mana, it turns into like a total investment of 6 mana, it turns into a creature. But also fixes. Yeah, I think these are alright. Hard to rate them. I would say they are necessary often, way better in colors that don't want to curve out with creatures. And way better in colors that can go big. So the Abzan one can go big with adding counters to the creatures. That is different because this actually gets you a land. So it's this one is a 2-for-1 in a sense, because you will still need to hit land drops on curve, which means that lands are cards, result into like cards, and then it turns into a creature, right? So it's effectively a 2-for-1, which the mana dorks aren't. So I think these are good. Like, I mean, this one in particular seems good because you probably will be able to extract a lot out of it. It's not that big of a downside to play this on 2 if you don't care about curving out with creature that much. But yeah, I'll give this a C for now. They might go higher. They might be C+. I don't think you would ever rate this like B territory still. 5 mana, 3/3 flying Ouija. Whenever this creature attacks, surveil 1. So at a face value, this is bad. 5 mana, 3/3 flyer Ouija, even with a surveil ability. We have dragon applications. We have the O3 that tutors this. Do we have something else? I would still say this is just a D. It needs a specific deck where you want to play it. Maybe D- if there wasn't a specific application, because it can be a filler, but you're probably just drafted a bad deck if this is your filler. Dragon Fireblade, 1 colorless. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has hexproof from mono-colored. Equip 4, this ability costs 1 less to activate for each color of the creature it targets. So it would be 3 for a 1 color, 2 for 2 color, etc. Hexproof for mono. So it dodges a lot of removal. The equip is so expensive though, and depends on what it targets. I think when we're talking 2 to equip, then it's good. When we're talking 3 to equip, then it's insanely bad. Well, not insanely bad. Yeah, pretty bad if it's 3 to equip. I don't think the hexproof matters that much, honestly. Yeah, it can be 1, but it's probably on a big creature already. It is 1 mana to cast. It's enough of the time it's gonna be 2 mana to equip, because there's multicolored creatures. I don't know, either C or C+, but I might be underrating it. It could be like really good. There's also a lot of tokens and stuff to put it on, even though then it's 3 to equip. And you cannot put it on mobilized tokens. They can still respond with instant speed removal. 3 colorless. Each dragon you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter. Add 1 mana of any color. So this one I like to rate a D because easier to play it in a non-synergistic deck than this. And you can play both with the 0-3 that fetches them. And this actually has a better synergy anyhow on the first place because the dragons are bigger. 2 colorless, 2/1. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. If you control a dragon, put that card on the battlefield tapped instant. And there are common dragons. There's quite a lot of dragons, but some are not that insane. So you need to evaluate when are you playing dragons and why. Obviously, the bombs are pretty brutal, so those you're always playing the rare dragons. This is interesting because this card is playable on its own without the dragon part. And dragon part is whatever because once you cast a dragon, you probably don't need lands anymore. I like playing these cards when I need fixing. I'll cut maybe certain number of lands for a certain number of these. So maybe 2 lands for 3 of these, or 1 land for 2 of these, or 1/1 for the first one you can cut a land. I actually think this is at the core a serviceable card in some decks, but not necessarily a card you would want to play, a 2-drop you would want to play in any deck. So I'm going like D+, but it's decent way to fake once you understand the concept of 4 colorless, 1/5 reach, 2 tap, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. I actually like these cards, and 4 mana 1/5 reacher is not bad. By the way, cards leaving battlefield, leaving the graveyard, synergy. This is way to enable that. Way worse in this set because omens do the same. Omens kind of let you not mill out. I usually like low rating on this because they're deck specific, but I value them pretty high. I think they're good addition to decks, so I don't know, D+, I guess. I do like that this one has reach. The stat is not the worst. 4 mana, 1/5 reach. It blocks a lot of dragons. There's a lot of 4-power dragons. Search for island, mountain, plains. Put it into hand. Then Jeskai 1. Tap, sacrifice this artifact. Create 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying. I don't know. This one is weird because it doesn't really help you double spell. It does give you some random flyers. I'm rating them a C now because there's downside of playing too many, but then again, they help you fix. But you are effectively losing tempo if you play this on 2. That's something to realize. Why is there no prowess on these flyers? Would that be too good? They're actually value cards. Because granting you a land is value, and then ability turns into... Granting you a land is a 1/1, then ability turns into another card of worth. So the Mardu one gives you Mardu color lands, and then for 2 colorless red, white, black, sacrifice this artifact, create 3 1/1 red warrior creature tokens. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. So this one is... I mean, both of these are interesting, but sometimes it's... Even if it's expensive, it's hard to replicate a card that just adds a lot to the board. Even if it's expensive, and this is expensive, but I think that it's a pretty valuable ability. But this does more for its archetype. Add 1 mana of any color, activate only if you control a dragon. Why? So you need a changeling. This is like one of the worst mocks ever. This is an F for limited. Do not try. Sultai 1 makes a... So for 5 mana, 2 colorless, black, green, blue, sacrifice this artifact, create 2/2 black zombie druid creature tokens. At sorcery. Monuments are great. They are actually good. Like, the abilities are not bad. Even if they are expensive, they kind of go beyond just like being completely vanilla. I mean, adding more to the board. Going white is often hard to replicate. The Temur one, the 6 mana, so 3 green, blue, red, makes a 5/5 green elephant creature token. Makes a big token. That's okay. Even if it's expensive. 3 mana, 3/2 artifact creature golem. When this creature enters target player, mills 2 cards, you gain 2 life. I don't even hate this card. This card is good. Makes aggro way worse. I don't want to go high on it because obviously a 3 mana 3/2 is not a great limited rate anymore, but it does trade with other 3 drops. D+, C-. Okay, so lands, we get the gain lands. These are probably not worth losing too much words for them. How high are we picking these lands? They will go a little bit higher than I mean, you want them a little bit higher than in other sets, but there's so many. I think Evolving Wilds and Tri-lands are still like the ones you want to pick early. They don't get you into a lane. While these kind of, if you change, like if you pick an, let's say a Celestia land, you go into Jeskai, this is useless, right? You want the allied lands, but you want the enemy colors. Does that make sense? Because you want to splash with lands into your splash. So you want these that are allied, but you want the enemy cards. I like these at C. I like the Tri-lands at maybe B-, and I like the Evolving Wilds at B- as well. And then we have these. These are rare, so this enters taps unless you control a plains or an island. Taps for red, 3 colorless, red, exile top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. So for 5 mana, you're getting a card. I would play that. I don't think it has a big downside. Will I use it often? Probably not. But drawing cards late is good, so it even comes untapped most of the times if it's not your first land. Are we picking those high is the better question. I think you would still pick premium stuff over these, so I don't know. I do like that they are free, so at one point you get enough playables. So maybe just a C. Swamp Mountain, so Mardu 1. Adds white and 2 colorless. Whenever you attack this turn, create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. Sacrifice them at the beginning of next end step. This matters at a different stage of the game, but I'm pretty similar on this than this. I can see activating this more because it's just cheaper. But the other ability is better. So, I don't know. C again. The black one has, so it's Forest Plains, it's Abzan 1. Taps for black. Black colorless is a creature card from your graveyard. Create a 1/1 spirit creature token. I might like this one the most because it's so cheap. You basically activate it, do some other stuff late game. So maybe this one can be a C+ then. Just go like that. Again, they are free, and as long as you think you're gonna get your deck together, you're happy playing those. Oh, it does have the leave your yard stuff. That's a good point. This one actually has this type of synergy, yeah. Wait, this one is Island Swamp, so Sult taps for green, 3 colorless green, Surveil 2. 5 mana to Surveil 2. It's not like, it might be better than drawing. I think this one, like just ability-wise, it's better than this. Because it can set you up 2 cards. At that stage of the game, you'd rather Surveil than have this ability. Even if on surface drawing cards is better. Castle Ventress was really good, but that was ages ago. I'll read DC, and I think the black one is just like above others. A little bit above others. Add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a dragon spell or an omen spell. Sacrifice this land, search your library for a dragon card, reveal it, put it into your hand. Somebody has asked yesterday, do we have a dragon tutor? There you go. It's a rare and it's on a land slot. And it actually makes your mana worse, so I don't think this is good. You can be a pretty fine 2-color deck with a light splash, and then you might have space for that. And then you have a dragon in the deck, so not completely bad. But I would say you don't value this high, and most decks would benefit from actually not having this because their mana is better for other spells. I would just say it's a niche card, so D. Let's put it at D or D minus. I think D minus. Like, you realistically don't want to play this in 90% of the decks. The next spell you cast this turn can be countered for 1 blue. Not a limited card, I think. By far the worst. These we said are all like B minuses. I would definitely first pick these lands in, not even in weak packs. I think these are just like kind of premium.